only two things in the world that I love more than producing art, and that is learning art and teaching it. And this is why I dedicated my life to it, to being a teacher. As such, through my own experiences and through the experiences of my students and the thousands and thousands of conversations I've had, I've learned where I've found a lot of growth and a lot of fulfillment artistically, and had epiphanies that transformed me as an artist, and a lot of cases where I wasted time, energy, passion, and money as well. So what I want to share with you today is where the best places to learn are, where to know in your journey where you're going to find the right value. Because if you're doing it at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, this is very often why artists they'll binge, they'll indulge, they'll put everything they have into learning and feel like they're walking out of the other end of that completely shorthanded, or a lot more broke without enough to show for it. And I think a really good starting point is to make a distinction between a tutorial and a curriculum. These are two completely different things that require you to be at a very different point in your artistic journey, to have a very different need. A tutorial generally is a single solution to an artist's specific problem. Usually the problem or the challenge of the artist who produced that tutorial. So if you're going to buy a tutorial, normally it's because that artist knew at a certain phase, a certain specific point in their artistic journey, they struggled with this thing. This was something that was hard, it was a bit of a blind spot for them. So they worked their butts off over years and years and years of work to finally overcome that. And once they figured out the ingredients on overcoming that particular challenge, they knew it was important, they knew it was instrumental in their growth and their professionalism, and they decided to make a tutorial based off of that specific fact. But if you're not at that phase in your artistic career, if that lesson from that artist doesn't have immediate value to you in overcoming an obstacle that you already have, you're probably wasting your money and your time. I'll give you an example. An artist who I've purchased countless Gumroad tutorials from and watched countless videos from is Anthony Jones, for understandable reasons. His style, his technique, his approach, the theme of his work, his brush work, his design is very, very compatible with mine. It's very similar. We have a very similar vibe, a similar technique, a similar look. So I know from my own artistic experience through my own artistic journey and my own artistic evolution that his way of painting and what he's that particular lesson that he's teaching is something that can help me gain a much better understanding to something that I already do. So before I even go and purchase a tutorial from Anthony Jones or from Darkin or from Peter Moorbacher or whoever it is I'm learning from, I'm looking to get very, very specific answers for very specific personal challenges. Not all of them. There's some things that I don't prioritize. There might be things that they teach that Anthony Jones might teach things that are irrelevant to me at this phase or at this desire in my artistic journey. So I know now how to handpick them. A curriculum, on the other hand, walks you through that process. You pursue a curriculum, a mentorship, an online course when you want to be handheld through all of the processes that lead to that thing that you're looking for. The end goal is not what you're going to get from a curriculum. The end goal is your job. The end goal is going to be your pursuit. But you need to be given the tools and the structure to get there first. And if you go straight to the tutorial, you're missing everything that preceded it. There's a reason why there are many tutorials that I've purchased, many Gumroads that I've purchased over the years, or many YouTube videos that I've watched over the years that didn't click at all for me for many, many years, 5, 10, 15 years. I was like, okay, whatever, good for them. I watched it and I ignored it. To find myself over a decade later coming full circle back to that exact same video that was published by cynics 15 years ago, and going, oh my God, it makes sense now. Because what cynics was particularly good at that point, there was an ingredient in that really, really clicked with my artistic journey at this phase in my artistic journey. But I had to get there first. And when I look back at the whole learning curve that I went to get to that point, I was like, yeah, no, I had like 20 things I had to evolve into before Cynic's lesson actually made sense to me at that point. Then it brought me value. Another very simple reason why tutorials can be discouraging and or not very beneficial or frustrating is because there's just too many of them. And as an artist, you really need to be aware, especially if you're a younger artist. Remember, there are as many unique artistic styles and voices as there are artists. And if you need a visual example of that, go on ArtStation. Just go to artstation.com and just look, and you're going to get 7 million different art styles, each one of them with their own unique voice. In order for you to shortlist this process and not get lost in the oubliette of options out there that can completely burn you out for a long, long time, it's you first have to find your artistic foundation. You need to find your artistic core. This is where a curriculum, this is where a mentorship, this is where a school, this is where a course works for you. Because there's a certain type of job you're looking for, there's a certain type of artistic style you're looking for. You need to do that self-discovery first. Once you have that self-discovery, once you know which playlist, if we're going to use a music analogy, once you know what playlist your artwork belongs on, then you know where to find other people within that genre, and it's much easier for you to find an artist and a tutorial and a learning resource that really, really clicks with you. I didn't discover Anthony Jones and say, oh wow, he's really good, I want to draw like that. No, I discovered myself first, and he just naturally clicked into that ecosystem because of our style similarities. Beksinski played a role in that. Frazetta played a role in that. Scott Flanders played a big role in that as well. Darkin played a role in that. Carla Ortiz played a role in that. Because I had to discover myself first. And these artists spoke an artistic language that I spoke that language. It clicked for me. If you're at a phase in your artistic career right now where you feel like you've put in endless amounts of money and energy and time, and you really don't feel like you have any heightened sense of direction in your artistic career, it's not time for you to go and find individualized pieces of information and to pursue tutorials. I'd say put those aside for now. You need to first learn structure from somebody who's qualified in the field that you wish to learn, be it film, be it animation, be it concept art, be it video games, whatever. And only then, once you've got a strong, grounded foundation artistically, that at that point, you can start to pursue your style and then consult with artists or purchase tutorials from artists that can fill those little gaps in your knowledge, as all of these artists have done for me over the years. Once you do that, you're going to have a much more solid foundation. You're going to have an established style, and it's just about consistency and growth at that point. Sound good? With that said, I love you all with all my heart, and happy painting. Take care.